Well, they will go back to me and talk about doing the clean the park, inflatable swing and all that. And they talk about doing like fireworks at the end and summer celebration. And I would ask them by law, we
Do you like tree lights?
But if a volunteer entity, like let's say Kiwanis, wanted to donate them and do that, not under the town. Yeah, I don't know if it's worth like a phone call, but maybe an email just to ask if it's something that's covered. Because I hate for something to happen and it has to be a town, you know what I mean? That's not going to be good. Okay.
Yeah, he was there, he didn't.
Right.
I'm thinking about putting it.
Okay. That, which one is that?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, the airport.
I only like to do them all together then.
So what I'll ask you to do for your reading, and how long
I did.
bring up the discussion, and then you can mention.
Too much on your brain. I've been like very like visually anymore. Yeah.
We'll do our best. This evening. Throw something, do something. Mustache is fun. Anything else inappropriate? Listen.
Somebody.
Yeah.
And they pretty much they should have that case on it. So yeah,
All right, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I am uncharacteristically late. We'll have to start 3 minutes early next time to make up for it. So thank you and welcome to the regular meeting of the Pittsfield Town Council here today on Tuesday, July 5th, 2022. I'd like to open the meeting by asking everybody to stand up and join me in the pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you all. May I ask just for a moment of silence, please. All right, thank you all very much. So let's move on to number 2, the adoption of the minutes of the regular meeting held on June 21st, 2022. I'll ask the council for a motion, please.
Make a motion to adopt the regular meeting minutes held on June 21st, 2022.
Any questions or comments, council?
Need a second.
No second. My apologies. I'm trying to gain some time here. I didn't have enough coffee this morning. That's my excuse. I'm sticking to that. Now we have a second. Any questions or comments from the council? Very well. Hearing none, I assume we're ready to vote. So let's vote on who All in favor of the adoption minutes of the meeting held on June 21st, 2022, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. The adoption of minutes of the regular meeting held on June 21st, 2022 passes. Move on to number 3, presentations, congratulations, and introductions. Catherine, if you would, please.
Yes, thank you. Under presentations, congratulations, and introductions, we have the community and economic development activities and events. We're very fortunate to have so many grant opportunities because the council did go forward and indicate that they were interested in the planning initiative program, and we heard from the Maine DOT project manager that could add an additional 2 to 3 years at the most to the project. We are consulting with all of the different grantors that we have for the millions of dollars of projects that we have. Most will be fine. There's a few that we're working on, and so I'll be reporting back when I have the answer from all of the different entities. There's a couple we'll have to reapply for, but they're very small ones. We did receive a planning partnership initiative draft document for the scope, and so that was distributed to the town councilors, the planning board, town staff, known and interested parties, all the parties that attended the previous stakeholder meetings. We did receive a few comments back. Those were sent to our planner for this project. And so now that planner is at the state working on the budget for the project so that this will come back to the town council as soon as possible so that we can proceed forward with a planning partnership initiative for the Main Street vision and the different work that would be involved. Thank you.
All set, Catherine?
Yes.
All right, thank you very much. Let's move on to public hearings, none scheduled for this evening. We shall move on to number 5, the reports. We'll start with the council committees. Finance committee, any report?
No meeting.
All right, thank you. Ordinance committee?
Haven't met.
Very well, thank you. Recycling committee?
No report.
Thank you very much. Do we have planning board committee updates? Catherine?
Yes, the planning board, after holding a very successful meeting on some very large projects last month, did not receive any applications by the due date for a meeting this month. So they will have July off and be back in August. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Catherine. So let's move on to the town manager report. If we can start on that, please, Catherine.
All right, very good. I'll be very brief. Copies are out to the public and it gets posted on the town website. The councils also have copies. So this is a streamlined version for the town council, and then I use a longer version to track everything. So I would note that our American Recovery Plan Act funds, the second half, which is $211,160 arrived. So that was a wonderful thing. We also have the ability under number 3, a critical infrastructure grant, which we got to put some time aside to apply for infrastructure for this building. We did check to see if it could be utilized for the dispatch project in which we would be paying for some software upgrades and conversion of data at the county. It is not relevant for that type of project, and we were told no. However, if I write up the project that we're looking at, although the state of Maine, several offices that I called did not think of or know of any grant opportunities, they said that they would send it out to their peers to see if anyone knew of an opportunity. So we'll do that. Number 4 is the COPS grant. We do have a completed application for community resources for an officer on the federal COPS website. It was approved and cleared for upload after a few days of technical issues, and then it would not upload. We were advised that this grant opportunity was to hire new entry-level officers and not for veteran officers, which we were trying to do, so we did try to submit it anyway. We were on the helpline for several hours that day. The application was all set to go. It was approved, and we have the audit and everything. Then we got disconnected when the office closed. So we have made a request to find out why the grant was not uploaded. and we're awaiting an answer. I would note that our acting chief Cochran was very helpful with all the background information. I'm hoping that we can print this out so we'll have it for next year, because it was a very detailed, interesting grant application that took a little bit over 3 days to complete. And as I noted, Marty Cochran was very helpful in some of the background information. Number 5 is the tax liens. This is a very big project for the town. And so we'll be spending the next 3 weeks on the tax lien process for the 2021 taxes. Unfortunately, we do have a lot that are not paid, the same as we have had for the last few years. Because our taxes are due so close to the end of the year, by the time we get to the next year, to the time in which we will be starting the tax lien process, which is July, we have less time than most towns would have that has semi-annual tax billing. So our percentage of collection at year end is usually around 90%, versus maybe the 92 or 93% you'd have in some of the towns that have semi-annual tax billing. But still, it's good for a town that has its taxes due near the end of the year. So I will skip along here to number 7, and this is a great chart for the Maine Department of Transportation projects. We have so many bridge projects, it's amazing. There's millions of dollars of projects. And luckily they do have our project listed for the Main Street as it currently is listed in the state budget. And then I will skip along to the TRIO program and the managed services onboarding. After several meetings with discussions and meetings with the Harris staff for TRIO, we're going to go live on Wednesday, July 20th with the web version. They've apologized for some of the issues that have happened, because we should have been getting help when we were calling up and not just being told that our module wasn't being serviced anymore. There's other information that could have been given out. And the issue with the assessing module, in which the mobile homes were not being picked up and would not be part of the tax commitment, has been resolved according to TRIO and the Harris staff. So we're going to be looking that over tomorrow when we start our training. We have a downloaded version of the web version so that we can look that over and see exactly how it works. So we'll get that training and then start practicing on it, and then go live on July 20th. And that should address some of these strange things that have happened in having an old program with very new computers. We still do have the old modules and the printers that are required by the state of Maine for motor vehicles, so that may continue to be an issue, but it should be less of an issue now. So that'll be good to bring that to a conclusion. We've asked Plymouth Engineering to put together a rebid for the Crawford Road Bridge work and a new bid for the remaining Sebastopol Street culverts for the relining. That's a project that has been listed by the state of Maine that the town needs to take care of and redo their reports. We had bid that out before in 2019, and only one Sebastopol Street culvert could be afforded. It was very expensive. So hopefully we'll be able to work on this project, and Public Works will be doing some work there too. We also have requested Plymouth Engineering to look at Clancy Street. We had planned to pave this road, but it's completely broken up. It looks very wet. There's some sort of issue underneath. We've been assured it's not the water line, so we need to find out exactly what's going on. So I asked them to give us information regarding what their costs would be for the different stages of engineering review and then design. And then 11 is code enforcement status. We have an alternate code officer who comes here 5 hours a week on Fridays. He can spend about 3 hours a week on code enforcement items. And this is sort of what happens when you have a part-time code enforcement officer. So Mr. Tempester is very willing to meet and talk with anyone about any code violation or item that's not a legal issue. And so he's going to be working every Friday, as many Fridays as he can, on the various code violations that we have. And we have a number of them listed out. I know the council wanted to discuss that a little bit more, and maybe that is something they want to discuss now. Along with the building permit requirements and the department reporting of achievements, so they might want to discuss those a little bit later at the end of the agenda, so we can deal with some of the action items. choices. Thank you.
What's that, Catherine?
Yes, thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Can I ask a question about?
Yeah, a quick one. What I'd like to do is, we have a bunch of gentlemen here that are going to be doing a presentation on the airport, and we can certainly come at.
I can just wait until later.
Okay, if you don't mind.
No, no,
Yeah,
that's
certainly.
fine.
You know, there are questions I have also, so if you don't mind, just thank you very much, Lindsay. So let's move on to number 6, old business. There is none, and we will continue on to number 7, new business. Catherine, please, order 22-04.
Yes, thank you. Order 22-04, order that the town council authorizes the equipment lease agreement with Visual Edge IT, approval of the image management agreement with Wells Fargo Financial Leasing, Inc., and appropriation of the required funds for the agreement to not exceed $9,765.
I'll look for a motion, council, please.
Move we adopt order 22-04.
Okay, move to second. Thank you, gentlemen. Any questions or comments, council? Catherine, this is out of the police department budget.
Yes, this is for the police department. It will be under the police department budget for several years. And we did resolve that the paperwork that the administrative assistant was given has a variety of equipment lease information in there, but we would only be contracting with one financial institution,
Okay, and
which is Wells Fargo.
okay, question I have for you: if this would be under the budget, the accepted budget of the police department, I'm not sure I understand why it needs to come before the council. If it's is it considered equipment upgrade or purchase?
It's because it is a multi-year contract, and so contracts have to be approved by the town council.
Okay, if it was just for this one budget year,
Yes.
okay, since it's
Yes.
going to continue into the next 2 budgets.
Yes, it'll continue into this, just like our other photocopier one does, and then it doesn't come back.
All right, very good. Council, yes.
I'm not sure if it's a clerical error, but it does say that Winthrop Veterinary Hospital is the customer.
Yes.
Did you notice that?
Yes.
Is that normal, or is that just a typo? Or
Yes, that is the whole package that was given to the administrative assistant, and so I questioned that. And the company came back and told Amy that they wanted to give us a variety of lease agreements. Well, we're only going to approve one, so that page should be taken out of the package, and we'll use the Wells Fargo. That was kind of a
that just confused me. Thank you.
Anything else, council? Anyone in the audience wish to speak? Anyone online? Very well. Hearing none, I sense ready to vote. All those in favor of approving order 22-04, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Order 22-04 passes. Catherine, let's move on to resolution 22-63, please.
Yes, thank you. Resolution 22-63, resolve that the town council waives the bid policy, chapter 2, administrative code, section 106, to accept the proposed bid from Visual Edge IT for a printer, copier, scanner, and fax, all in one machine, and authorize the town manager to execute all necessary paperwork for the lease of a Toshiba E-Studio 2510 AC color copier at a cost to not exceed lease and service contract totaling $155 a month for 63 months at a total of $9,765.
Very well, thank you. Look for a motion from the council, please.
Make a motion to adopt resolution 22-63.
Second. Moving and second. Thank you, gentlemen. I assume, Catherine, correct me if I'm wrong, having this order is approval of the contract, and this resolution 2263 is approval of the equipment itself. Is that correct?
Yes.
Any questions, comments, council? Anyone in the audience wish to speak? Anyone online wishes to speak to resolution 2263? Very well, thank you. Hearing none, I sense the ready to vote. All those in favor of resolution 22-63, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Resolution 22-63 passes. Catherine, let's move on to resolution 22-64, please.
Resolution 22-64, resolved that the town council authorize the town manager to apply for a Federal Aviation Administration FAA grant for $141,806 from the airport's fiscal year 22 bipartisan infrastructure law airport infrastructure grant BIL/AIG for the construct taxi lane, apron, and T-hanger project.
I'll look for a motion from council, please.
I'll make a motion, we open for discussion, resolution 22-64.
Sorry.
Moved and seconded. Thank you, gentlemen. So before we get into this, I have there are several gentlemen here that will represent this in the next resolution. So what I'll do is introduce Mr. Bob Fury. If he can introduce himself, what his involvement is with this, and if you can give us the Reader's Digest version of a presentation, anything you'd like to present to the council, please.
Absolutely. Good evening. I'm Bob Fury with Hoyle Tanner Associates. I'm joined by Niels Gonzalez, also from Hoyle Tanner. I'm the director of the Aviation Services Group, and Niels is the project manager. So we are the designers of this apron project, and we work with Curtis Air at the airport in Kathy. The Reader's Digest version, I would be working off of the one-page executive summary that was provided in your packet on this project. But in general, as you know, this is a hangar project for your airport that for us is split into two grants, two federal grants, two pieces. One's called a taxi lane that leads to the hangar, and one is the hangar project, and also has the word apron tied to it. So that's the surrounding pavement. So for us, two grants. The project was designed fall of 2020 and bid so in April of last year, or a year ago. We received bids and filed for the grants, for the estimated amounts, federal grants. And as we came into fall, we weren't, I guess we knew that the project was going to be delayed through the winter and was supposed to start this spring. So between the contractor, the low bidder, Blaine Casey, who did not withdraw their bid, and Hoyle Tanner, who did not work with the town to get your notice of award done by a deadline, Blaine Casey then came back in November and said we can no longer honor this bid. That left us in a situation that you're aware of. So we decided at that point the difference between what you had funds, you collectively meaning the federal government funding the state and local, and what the requested amount was from Blaine Casey. They wanted to increase their amount just informally, and we decided we wouldn't do that. We collectively decided, well, let's rebid this project and see if we can get some more competition. Unfortunately, we did that this past spring, rebid it, and prices came in a little bit higher. So the delta got worse. So in your summary sheet here, you can see we started at 1.38 million. Contractor wanted to go to 1.74. That's when we decided we'll rebid, and we ended up at 1.92. Then the state and the federal FAA started looking at what they know they had for extra monies that we would typically use on a grant project. So it's a 15% grant amendment. So when you look at that buffer, we knew the delta was about $320,000 that was short. So the last 2 or 3 months we've been working with all parties, and as I described to you on paper and to Catherine, there's 3 courses of action. One is to apply for this extra grant, which is the part of the resolution that we're acting on now. This is new money through the bipartisan infrastructure law, $159,000 that your airport gets this year and for the next 4 years. That's one way to get into the $320,000. The other is the asphalt that will be used for the airport is a special FAA mix and specification, and it's a bit overkill for an airport with aircraft that are light or less than 12,500 pounds. FAA acknowledges this, but they are unable to change their own specification. And that mix, to put it in perspective, the low bid amount was about $746 per ton, whereas you are seeing prices, I mean, they're high, but you would expect to see a pavement somewhere between 100 and 150. So that's made that portion of the project very expensive. And what we wanted to do, and I worked with Catherine, was to ask for a modification to standard from the FAA to allow us to use state specification asphalt, which will work and will be appropriate. That's been denied. And that's where Hoyle Tanner has said, we will pay for the state mix. And the FAA has said to the town, as long as they don't have to pay for it, you can use state mix. So Hoyle Tanner is offering to pay for the asphalt to take care of that. That saves about $120,000. And also we have written a letter to Maine DOT on behalf of the town asking if they can consider having other matching funds. So in essence, what we're offering is up to $95,000 extra of participation for this project. We believe that's the max exposure for us and for the town, no extra monies. This grant that you'll be applying for is yours, it's allocated. Every other airport in Maine is getting the same type of money through this AIG BIL program. So that's the Reader's Digest version. Take any questions. Did I miss anything else?
No, I think you covered it all.
Quick question for you. So, to boil it down to terms that I think would make sense to me. So that $141,806, that's the balance needed to get to the new price for the scope of work?
That is one part of it. The other part is using the state mix. The 141.
Right. You had gone through quite eloquently, I might add, what the original was. Now the new price is 1.9. I think I'll just give some very basic numbers. So you mentioned that you would pay for the mix. We have some others options where with not as much money, and this grant would be what we're looking at to close the gap so that we can match the bid to get this full scope of work that's been a year or two in the making anyway.
Yeah, this 141 is to pay for the.
So Hoyle Tanner is offering to pay for the asphalt on the taxi lane. That 141 is to pay for the FAA mix on the apron. The FAA, like Bob said, didn't approve our request for mod to standard to use that state mix everywhere. But they are allowing us to pull out the asphalt from the apron and put it into a separate grant.
Okay.
So that reduces the amount, obviously it goes against the first grant.
Are you familiar with this type of grant that we're looking at here? I mean, do you have experience with this?
This is the first year any airport has ever had it. So it's part of the bipartisan infrastructure law. So it's new money to FAA.
I see.
This is the first year that they've accepting these grants.
So have you seen this with other airports that you work with? Or is this
Everybody's getting it. It all runs through the AIP program, which Catherine is very used to. It's not a separate grant funding program, the grant application will look exactly the same as the ones you're used to.
So Catherine, being a grant, it's money for this project with no payback.
That would be correct, yes.
Yeah, this money is actually appropriated, so.
For the record,
Yep.
we all know who you are.
Yep.
But if you would, please, for the record.
My name is Caleb Curtis, resident on Harrison Street and the airport manager for operations, I guess is what you'd call it. So, Mr. Mayor, there's a lot of new faces and I've missed a lot of stuff, but just want to make sure that everybody kind of understands the airport AIP program, the airport improvement program that the federal government does. I mean, you guys probably been talking about this a little bit.
Yeah, he's been on it right now.
Yeah. Cool. All right. Yeah. Now, and so I guess what's different about this AIG money instead of AIP money, which I have to keep acronyms right, is that this money is actually appropriated for the airport. It already is like there and it's ready to give to us. So that's different than the AIP money, which we have to work through this whole process with Hoyle Tanner to get projects approved and then have that submitted, and then the FAA comes back and says whether they agree or not. This is different. It's ready. And I don't do we have a kind of release date on when they're gonna?
What we hear informally is within 30 days of application, which is very quick for FAA.
Yeah, for any government.
Okay.
Council, yes, please, Craig.
Couple quick questions. Would the airport have been eligible for this grant had the project been started on time?
Yes.
Sure. Would we still, and these funds could have been used towards additional projects for the town airport instead of covering? Okay. Just wanted to get that.
Council, anything else? For anyone in the audience who'd like to speak? Yes.
I guess it's kind of looking back on it now, and it's easier than when we quarterback it, but why would we rebid this and think that the prices are going to come back cheaper?
Well, so after the first, and you can correct me a little bit.
Yeah.
But after the first, like in March-ish, we had a meeting with the FAA and talked to them. We started kind of really going through what had happened and the mistakes that were made and what Hoyle Tanner was going to do to correct it. And basically, the state and the FAA at that point came together and said, we can come up with the money to cover this. To the we went from 1.3 to 1.6, right? So they said, we can come up with the money to cover this for you guys. There's only one gotcha. And that's that you got to put it back out to bid, because we can't give you the money unless because you know how the bid process works. So that's where we were in a little bit of the rock and the hard place is, the state, because the state and the FAA really want to see this project get completed, because it's been on our master plan and we've talked about it for ever, and they are completely invested in it, and they want to see it happen. So they came up with the additional funds, basically. So, and we were hopeful that we were going to put it back out to bid. And I agree with you. There was definitely a big part of us that was like, this may not work, but we didn't have any other route to go. Yeah, or we were limited on the option.
So, Caleb, clarify for me, if you would, please.
Yep.
I know it's water on the bridge. It's not going to change things right now. Now, the reason why they put it up to rebid, they said, we'll help you fund this, however, you have to rebid. So why did they have to rebid? And were the current ones no longer valid? Was there a end date for those?
Well, there was
Was that something that they imposed upon it?
Well, there was a end date for the original bids, which came out about a year ago, right? We opened bids, and you guys were involved in that process a little bit. But we missed, or Hoyle Tanner missed the date to walk the contractor in, and that's why Hoyle Tanner's coming to the table today with $94,000 to kind of help the project happen. So yes. in March, we did not have a avenue to, really say, hey, we really want you to sign, or to have a contractor sign it. Other than the fact that Blaine Casey had come back and said that if you want us to do the project, we want another 300 and something thousand. And that's when the federal government and the state of Maine came together and said, we understand prices have changed, there was a mistake, but typically it's not this big of a delta, after a few days or after a few months. And that's when they stepped up and said, we're gonna, we'll make this happen. But the FAA, I think, was the one that said you have to rebid it if you're gonna let us, if you're gonna use the money that we're gonna offer.
Okay.
So,
Can I add a little clarification?
Yes, please, sir.
Yeah, so the FAA couldn't pay for so it was at the 1.3, then went to the 1.7. They couldn't pay for that extra because it's in escalation. It's not a bid price. They can only pay for the original bid price. So that's why FAA came back and said, yeah, to rebid this.
Okay. Understood, thank you. Yes, Craig.
Not to belabor the point, I guess, but I guess my question would be from date of bid award to the date that the bid was actually canceled. What are we talking about in time period? So from the time that the bids were received, accepted, and then to the time that they canceled it, what kind of time period are we looking at? Because we said that there was a failure to lock in the bid award. So what was the time frame?
So the notice of award had to have been issued to the contractor by September 30th,
Okay.
and it was issued in November.
And what was the date the bid was actually received?
Mid-April. So for FAA, you have, in order to apply for a grant, you have to have bids in hand.
Okay.
Grant applications are due on May 1st, but they typically don't offer grants until July,
Sure.
sometimes later.
Sure.
So we could have awarded it until we got the money. When did we get the money from? When did
August
we get the
5th.
notice? So August 5th. That's
August
the real
5th.
date.
Okay, so August 5th.
So from August
Until-
5th to September 30th, we could have, or Oil Canada could have filed the paperwork. Yes, that's the number you're looking for.
That is the number,
Yeah.
yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. So when we say that the exposure is $94,000, the truth of the matter is the exposure is $380,000 because that's the bid difference between and the impact to the town and the potential funds that could have been used in other areas for improvements to the airport through this grant process. That's actually asking the town to forego those abilities based on a mistake that was outside of our control. And I'm not trying to be a jerk here. I'm not trying to beat anybody down, but I'm just trying to understand the full scope of the process so that we kind of know what we're bidding on here or voting on here.
Right. Understood. I do want to throw in a comment, though, to have
Sure.
a company like Oil Tanner, any company, pony up and say, we made a mistake, here's some money. I don't think I've ever seen that before, so.
Understood.
There was a few heated discussions.
Sure. Good. Fully understand. Fully understand.
$94,000 worth of heated discussion.
Yeah, and not only phone me up, but to come stand in front of us and do this. That's absolutely.
Yeah.
So we appreciate that. I just want to understand the numbers because we're coming in obviously a year removed from this. So
Understood.
anyway, thank you.
So Catherine, you anticipate any issues with the application of this grant?
No, I think the application will take longer than 30 days, but this is our appropriated funding for the town of Pittsfield, $159,000 for 4 years. So it's a miracle that this all happened at the time that we actually needed money. And yes, it is true, as Craig has indicated, the $141,806 could be used someplace else. We had actually planned to use it for crack sealing, but we are so fortunate we have 3 more years after this of allocated money of $159,000 that we can use toward the crack sealing.
So you don't anticipate any issues with this, with the grant?
No.
Okay, thank you.
It'll just take a little while to get.
Yep, understood.
It was a blessing that it came through. Because originally the FAA said we weren't going to be able to use it for this, but I think they changed their mind after they reviewed the situation because it really is a unique situation. Yeah, and they're committed, and that's a sign they're committed.
All right, thanks. Eric, please.
Do we have the capacity to write this grant? I mean, I know there's tax liens for 21 coming up, and other things going on, do we have capacity within the town to make this grant happen in a timely fashion, or is that going to be an issue?
Montana works with the town, and these grant applications are not that difficult.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a standard process. It's a standard type. It's been the same for 20 years.
So it's boilerplate, just crank it out?
Yes.
Okay.
Anything else, council? Anyone in the audience wish to speak? Anyone online like to speak on this topic? All right, very well. Hearing none, essentially the vote.
Actually, I gotta
Yeah.
rescind my motion to open for discussion first. So I will rescind my motion to open for discussion of 2264.
Second. Okay, we have a rescinded motion for discussion and seconded.
And I make a motion that we adopt resolution 2264. Second.
Moved and seconded. Thank you for keeping me in line there, Deputy Mayor and Training.
I have heard
Oh, you'll laugh every time doing that. All right, questions, comments on that, council? All right, very well. Hearing none, since we're ready to vote, all those in favor of adopting resolution 22-64, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Resolution 22-64 passes. Catherine, let's move on to resolution 2265, please.
Resolution 2265, resolved that the town council accept the proposal of Blaine Casey Building Contractor, Inc. of Augusta, Maine, in response to the request for rebid 2022, opened on March 24th, 2022, titled Construction Package 2, Construct Taxi Lane, Apron, and T-Hanger, AIP Project Number 3-23-0036-21-2021 to not exceed $1,920,601.29 at the Pittsfield Municipal Airport, to be funded by federal AIP Project Number 3-23-0036-20-2021, the multi-year grant award for AIP Project Number 3-23-0036-21-2021, Airports Fiscal Year 22 Bipartisan Infrastructure Law Airport Infrastructure Grant, BIL/AIG, for $141,806. Oil Tanner's letter of commitment for funding to not exceed $95,000, and other funding from the Maine DOT that may become available, and authorize the town manager to issue the notice of award, execute a contract, and issue all relevant paperwork for same.
Thank you, Catherine. Look for a motion from council, please.
Make a motion to adopt resolution 22-65.
No, second. Moved and seconded. Thank you, gentlemen. Before we get into discussion, I know we've already had our presentation. Anything else you gentlemen would like to offer specific to this? I mean, I know you've already covered the numbers, whatnot. Is there anything pertinent that you'd like to clarify on this one?
No.
Okay, thank you very much. Any questions or comments, council? Any questions or comments, anyone in the audience?
I'd just like to say, to
Yes.
echo Mr. Curtis, that this has been on the plan for well over 10 years. So this is a good day.
Yeah. This has been a topic of discussion for a while. Anyone online wish to speak on this resolution 2265? Very well. Hearing none, I sense we're ready to vote. All those in favor of resolution 22-65, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Resolution 22-65 passes. Catherine, let's move on to resolution 22-66, please.
Resolution 22-66, resolved that the town council waive the bid
Catherine,
policy.
I'm sorry. Can I hold for 1 second there? My apologies. Gentlemen, you're more than welcome to stay and listen to the rest of this. But I think what you were here for is we've covered that, so you're welcome to stay, or if you'd rather leave if you prefer. We certainly won't have hard feelings if we do.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much for your time, gentlemen. Appreciate it. Caleb, good to see you again.
Yeah, you see.
When are you going to take out papers again?
I've got 3 little kids, they're pretty demanding right now.
So that's a no.
Well, just think of
You're
it.
not going to say no. Okay, I'll take that. Thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate it. Hey, you too.
Thank you, sir.
My apologies for interrupting Catherine,
Oh, no
please.
problem at all. Resolution 22-66, resolved that the town council waive the bid policy, chapter 2, administrative code, section 106, regulation of bids and contracts, to accept the proposal of Oliver Associates, Inc. of Winterport, serving as the town's operator for water and sewer, and authorize the town manager to execute amendment number 1 to the engineering agreement between owner and engineer for professional services for the water main, drinking water state revolving loan funding, DWSRF, for design and geotechnical services only, for Birchwood Terrace in the amount of $57,000 and Library Street for $52,000, and for the sewer main clean water state revolving loan funding, CWSRF, for Birchwood Terrace in the amount of $220,000 and Honeywell Avenue in the amount of $132,000, for a total of $461,000, with DWSRF funding currently available through the American Rescue Plan Act funds, ARPA.
I look for a motion.
I'll make a motion that we open for discussion, resolution 22-66.
Sounds moved and second. Thank you, gentlemen. Catherine, you have something you want to add to this, please?
Yes, this item will need to be tabled this evening. All of our associates in the town are working on whether this can all be put together into one amendment and how it should be placed before the town council. And so when the amendment came, everything was all together, so I put it together quickly. But thinking about this, these may need to be separated out as individual projects. So Annalise schedule will allow her to come to the next council meeting on the 19th, where we'll have a resolution for this.
Okay, so we will be ready on the 19th for this one?
Yes.
Can I ask a question about this one real quick?
Yes,
Just
yes,
for
please.
that
Yep,
purpose?
sure, please.
Library, we had a discussion about this, and Library Street, there had been no issues with water or sewer, but Honeywell and Birchwood had significant problems in the last 12 to 24 months. So why is Library Street in this list? I know we had talked about what if we did them all, but if there were no known issues with one of the streets, would we save those monies and use them for an area that's more problematic, or no?
So this was funding, it was the sewer that we didn't go forward with for Library Street.
But the drinking water was...
But the
Gonna
drinking
stay
water
on.
is funding, according to the state. If we decide not to go forward, we'll just simply have a design for Library Street.
Okay, so there's not a street
So
that's
it
in
doesn't
greater
have to
need.
become
Oh, okay.
part of the loan. If we did go forward, it would be added into the loan.
Okay. I know we had talked about Library Street having zero issues, so I just didn't know why we would waste time or energy on that street if there was a different one that could use it more. But if that's not the case, then it's great.
Yeah, it was
I
an
mean,
offer from the state. There were a number of projects that don't get enough points, and they thought, and they don't get enough points because the water rates are lower than the average, and we don't have significant issues, so we don't get a lot of points. So there are other towns and entities like us, and they had additional funding available at the state. So they thought, let's give the money to all of these different entities to design the projects, and then that would give them more points because they would be almost ready to go. So you would have more points on your application. That was the thought of the state when the additional monies were available.
All right, thank you, Catherine. Peter, would you want to rescind your motion?
Yep. I will rescind my motion to discuss 22-66.
And
And I will make a motion that we table resolution 22-66.
second, moved and seconded. Thank you. Any discussion on that? Obviously, we can't. We can certainly talk particulars and specifics, but there's going to be a waste of time. We're going to bring it up to the next meeting. Questions, comments? Very well. All those in favor of tabling Resolution 22-16 to the next meeting, July 19th, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Resolution 22-66 will be tabled to the next meeting. Thank you, Catherine. Thank you, Peter. Let's move on to Resolution 22-67, please, Catherine.
Resolution 22-67, resolved that the town council approve the police labor negotiation committee's proposals for additional incentives for the hire of police officers.
I'll look for a motion from council.
I actually make a motion to table resolution 22-67.
I'll second it. Moved and seconded. Discussion on this. Now, the items to which you refer, Catherine, I assume, are the insurance questions I'd ask you. Okay.
The materials that were brought up by the police. And so the steps would be for, just in case we were able to pull this all together, but with the information coming in from the Maine Municipal Association and the police department receiving the information from the other company that they were interested in, and then the holiday, this item was on the agenda just in case everything came together, but I thought it might not.
Well, that, just for the record, that was a request for exploratory information only.
Correct.
It was certainly something that we understood was an issue. So we have a motion to table. Any questions or comments, council? Very well. Let's vote. All those in favor of tabling resolution 22-67, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Resolution 22-67 shall be tabled. I don't believe we have a solid date when that will be brought up again, but that will be
Pending our meeting.
what's that?
Pending the committee's meeting.
Pending the committee meeting. But, yeah. So we'll figure that out.
Great.
All right. Thank you very much. Let's move on to resolution 22-68, please, Patrick.
Resolution 22-68, resolved that the town council accept a grant for the 2019 Homeland Security Grant Program through Somerset County from the Maine Emergency Management Agency in the amount of $14,865 for body and cruiser cameras.
I'll look for a motion from council, please.
Make a motion to adopt resolution 22-68.
Second. Moved and seconded. Questions or comments, council? Anything you want to add, Catherine? Everything's self-explanatory here?
It's self-explanatory. We're very fortunate to get grants for the equipment.
And it is a grant.
Correct.
Covers the whole thing?
No match.
No man.
Yes, correct.
Does this amount cover, is that bid still active? Because it looks like the bid was in 2019 and they're holding prices.
Yes, they are holding prices, and another letter is coming. They had sent the updated pricing to us, but it had Pittsfield, Massachusetts on it.
Yeah, I saw that. But can I ask why did we wait so long? If this is a grant? Why did we wait
I have no idea.
almost 3 years?
No, I have no idea. They did try out different body armor in terms of the cameras. They said that different types didn't work, and this was the one that they wanted to get. They did have another grant that goes along with this that will be coming along too.
That will be the next resolution. Catherine?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Any questions or comments, council? Anyone in the audience wish to speak?
Is there any maintenance fee or anything associated with this equipment? Like, do you have to pay anything monthly, or like to store data, or how does this? Do we know anything about this stuff, or just we're good to go?
I think that there will be a fee. Most items do have maintenance agreements.
But we don't know that. We don't.
Yeah, two years ago there was this is a long history here. 2 years ago the police department put together a document that would protect all of the data and how it was going to be stored and everything. And there was a contract that was approved, I believe, a year and a half ago for this, but the project just got stalled. And so now they're up against the deadline, so and they need to have the cameras after testing some out. So I do believe there is a fee. I don't think it was anything significant.
I do see on there, there's a 3-year warranty on that, included with that price. Anything else, council? Eric?
No, I'm good. Like I said.
Anyone online wish to speak on this resolution? All right, very well. Hearing none, sense ready to vote. All those in favor of resolution 22-68, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. 22-68 passes. Catherine, let's move on to resolution 2269, please.
Resolution 22-69, resolved that the town council waive the bid policy, chapter 2, administrative code, section 106, to accept a bid from Watchguard for body and cruiser cameras in the amount of $11,754.75.
We'll look for a motion from the council.
Make a motion to adopt resolution 22-69.
Second. Moved and seconded. Thank you, gentlemen. Clarification, if you would, Catherine. What is the, maybe it's staring thing, what is the difference between, the first one is just acceptance of the grant, and the other one is the actual contract for the equipment?
So the grant that was received by the police department was never put to the council. We didn't realize that they had another grant. So we need to accept the grant in its total amount. And so when the administrative assistant and the acting police chief put the information together, this is what they needed from the grant. There's been a whole variety of different items that could be done, including a server. But the Skowhegan police chief assisted Amy and Marty with how to do this, because they also have, body cameras. And so they came to a savings. So $11,754.75 is the price.
So, back to my original question. So the resolution 2268, that is for the acceptance of the grant.
Yes.
And the resolution 2269 is the actual equipment that we're
Correct.
getting with that grant.
Yes.
And that's why the numbers don't match, because.
Correct.
So, very well. Any questions or comments, council?
I have a question.
Yes.
So it seems like to me we're leaving like $3,000 on the table here. So is there any additional equipment or fees that we can roll up into this bid so it's part of the grant, or is it?
So I asked about that. This is over $7,500, so it does need to go to council, and we do need to waive the bid policy. But I did ask them, is there any other, do some of the reserves need to have this? Is there a way to use it? And they're looking at that. So that would be a small amount which we can take care of by just asking for another bid price.
So that would come back to the council, or if I found something for the difference of, what, 3,000 some change?
Well, it would be under the bid policy of $7,500.
Okay, right, okay. So we've already accepted the grant?
Yes.
Okay.
I've asked them to look and see, is there any other way you need to use, some of the body cameras?
Do you know when they are going to get back to you? Did you give them a date?
We have to move forward. The county would like this closed out. So the company is supposed to get the paperwork corrected so it doesn't have Town of Pittsfield, Massachusetts on it, and get that done, and then we'll get the additional bid.
Okay.
If the police department does find a need. I
Okay.
would assume there is.
Right.
To Eric's point, would it be possible to get a quote on the service fees for per yearly service fee, and roll that into the grant to pay for 3+ years of service fees?
Okay, we can check on that. We'll
I mean,
check on the wording.
clarification that there are service fees, number one.
Right.
I didn't see it in the paperwork.
I don't, but you have to assume that there is some sort of monitoring and/or
Yeah,
communication.
it's probably on the cloud.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And can this cross departments? Like, if the fire department could utilize this same technology, is that possible or not?
I don't believe so, but we'll check on that.
I'm not like, soak it for all it's worth, but if there's $3,000 on the table, I just assume take advantage of that, especially if we can collaborate with the departments too. That would be good.
Yeah, I did ask the department to look at that. I
Right.
suspect that they can purchase more.
Even town vehicles, like town pickups and things like that, it's not a bad idea to have a dash cam. Like, these days, all you gotta do is look sideways and someone's gonna sue you, so if more vehicles that have that in it, it's a better thing.
Yeah,
This is true.
good point, Eric. Anything else, council? Anyone in the audience wish to speak on this? Anyone online wishes to speak to Resolution 22-69? Very well, hearing none, I sense we're ready to vote. All those in favor of Resolution 22-69, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Ayes have it. Resolution 22-69 passes. Sorry, Freddie, you were just a hair too late.
Yeah, no, we're good.
So let's move on. Discussion items. There are none. We shall go on to reports. And we will start with the audience. Anyone in the audience wishes to speak tonight? We'll start with the ladies first.
Sure.
Please.
I just wanted to make everyone aware it's July, and Open Farm Day is coming up at the end of July. It's always the fourth Sunday of July. It's a statewide event. It's free. It's put on by the Department of Agriculture. Balfour Farm will be participating again this year from 11 to 4. Tiny Acres Farm is with us as well. So we'll be giving tours of the dairy farm, and we'll have a small farmer's market set up. We'll have farm-to-table food with Maillard Kitchen coming, kind of a little mini gourmet food from local farms, as well as I talked to Bernard about the fire department coming with the wagon again, and I haven't heard back from them, but I think they're coming. And we'll have some live music, so lots of fun. Hopefully it won't rain. Last year it poured from 11 to 4 and then it stopped. So just looking for good weather, and people come out, enjoy the day. We'll give you some tours, and you can see some piglets, and we should have another calf by then. So it's been
So it's the last Sunday of July?
fourth Sunday of July. It's usually the fifth one.
The
but
fourth
it's
Sunday,
It's
okay.
usually the fourth Sunday of July.
How many cows you have now?
12 milkers, 5 heifers, the bull, a calf due any moment, actually. I was having a drive by, I'm like, is it out yet?
I was by there the other day. I don't usually hit the Webb Road, and they were all out. You can see them from the road there.
Yep.
I see the Balfour Farm was growing.
Yep.
Good. Anything else?
That's it.
All right. Thank you, Heather. Anyone else in the audience wish to speak? I'm looking at both of you. Yes, God, please.
I got a question that I brought up at the last meeting that I was at, and never quite got an answer to. It's regarding the water bills. I checked my documentation today before I came here. My last water bill, the meter was read on 12/16/21. The bill was dated 2/11/22. And these were apparently had been quarterly bills that we had gotten throughout the years, and all of a sudden they've gone to 6 months, because I looked back, and the one previous to that was meter was read on July 2nd, 21, and billed on 8/18. So that quarterly bill, covered half of last year, and this bill, the last bill I got, was the second half of the year. So I've not gotten a water bill for having the meter read since 12/16. Now, for quarterly bills, that seems to be a little inappropriate, Catherine. Could you clarify, please, when we've gone to, every 6 month bills? Or are they still quarterly bills that we're going to get?
All right, very good. They will go back to quarterly bills. All of our associates is working very hard to address the meters that were placed in a certain area of town, which is close to your area, which is red. There is a defined area where the meters were placed but not reported to the town. They have since addressed this issue. We have gone through the records at the water sewer garage with the staff to determine the meters that had to be verified as to their location. Basically, they have made significant changes at the water sewer garage, and so there is a 3-page list of meters that are being verified to make sure they are in the correct location. And so the readings have been taken, the numbers have been taken down, and this is to be reviewed to see if there's any credits or debits that are necessary. And what has happened is that if we don't, we're stopped right now. If we go past these, we're going to have to remove all of them from the sewer billing to get past them to be able to do the other areas of town. So they think that they're near the end of getting these all straightened out. If it's just 1 or 2, I can remove them, but to remove all of these will create more problems than what we have now. So we will make sure that area is done correctly, that the meters have the correct readings, they're in the correct locations. They're also verifying they've been put in correctly. And so once that is resolved, we then bill that area and then we move past it and then we're fine because the other books are fine. And so you're down past that area, and once that area is billed, you'll get billed, and then we'll go back to the beginning and get caught up. Now, in the interim, once we start billing out again, after we get past the problem area, which is an area that is too significant to remove from the whole system of the town, we will give additional time so that people have time to pay their bill, you know.
My understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, my understanding is that the sewer rates are based on our water consumption. And if the meters that, well, the meter that we have, for example, was installed years ago, and are you saying that it hasn't been read correctly for years?
No. It's a certain area of town where meters were taken out and put in that should not have happened in the way that it did. And all of our associates has corrected this, and they're working very hard to straighten it out. It's an isolated area. It has nothing to do with your area, my area, or anyone in the room. But there is an area that is defined in a 3-page list that we need to straighten out so that we can finish the rest of the billings. So it has, all it's done is it's slowed down you getting your bill. There's nothing wrong with your area of town.
Well, I'm not questioning whether there's anything quote unquote wrong, but I'm trying to determine, you know, when I might expect my next quarterly bill that's been coming twice a year for the past year. So, living on a fixed budget, you know, I think that we all like to plan, and if we plan on quarterly bills, we set aside a certain amount for quarterly bills to be paid, like insurance or anything like that. And this is just a little off, you know, and the fact that I understand that the help was, we had difficulty with when Scott left and other issues as far as reading the meters and getting the bills out, etc. If a meter is read on 12/16/21 and I don't get a bill dated till almost 2 months later on 2/11/22, that says something about your functioning in the office and how you're doing as far as efficiency, you know, here. So, could you address that?
Yes, so it actually had to do with the fact that you couldn't bill out. It was like the program was stuck because we had all of these errors that were happening, which it took us a while to figure out what was going on. I mean, I would have never thought that we would have 3 pages of meters that had been moved around without anyone knowing about it, and then having to figure out which meters were the issues. We took everything that was an error and gave it to all of our associates and then started putting this all together. So it did take a while to figure out what was going on. At the beginning, I was able to get past it, but then the system locked up. And so we had to figure out what was going on. So that was the first delay. So all of our associates, as I said, is working very hard. They've hired, they have new staff. and they are out reading the meters, the isolated list.
So they're basically have taken over a function of the water department right now?
Correct,
For Pittsfield?
yes.
Okay. Now, we've contracted, the town of Pittsfield has contracted with them in that regard, I assume.
Correct, yes,
Okay.
before all this happened.
Right, and we had two people, from our internal staff that was working specifically on the water department when 2-3 years ago when I was still on the council. And how much difference is the hiring of two people and the administration of the contracts of those people, hiring two people as part of the water department for Pittsfield versus all of our associates handling all of it? Is this I would never say a cost saving measure, but if it makes it more efficient, it would be cost saving. But what is the difference that's impacting, say, our taxes, etc.?
Yep, that's a good question. So when this opportunity came up and we looked at the alternatives and decided how to proceed forward, all of our associates projected that this was going to save the town money. So we're running the spreadsheets just to see if it will or not. It will be more efficient because they can bring in 10 staff members if they need them. They brought in an expert to find leaks in the system so that we could have more water availability without, the town struggling during the summer when the logs were being washed at Hancock Lumber. So it brought some efficiencies to us and items that will be more helpful. It'll get more efficient as we go along.
Was that an extra cost to the town?
No.
Okay.
Lindsay.
If I could just speak a little bit. I do have some, this is probably like the 5th or 6th, and I've only been on the council like a couple months, so this is like the 5th or 6th significant water issue. I personally, in my home, experienced a very bad snag where our water bill came in at $1,000, and it was actually, we had already paid the water bill, but it had been put on the wrong account, so thankfully we were able to track that back, but our check was cashed by the town, but it wasn't applied to our account. So when our next water bill came months later, it was over $1,000. And so thankfully I have a husband that's very detail oriented, and so am I, but he tracked it back and then it was corrected. But there are people that I've heard that aren't getting water bills and haven't for years. We have this issue, my issue. So I've heard, this isn't the first one either. So do we have a service contract with Oliver and Associates, and have they ever done a crosswalk on taxpayers, like homes versus water bills, and like has any of that been reconciled in the last 12 months?
Yes. Once we get the meter issue straightened out, we are then going to go door to door to make sure that everybody is being billed. This is not...
Is it honor system? Or
This
what's your
particular
thought?
item is not a billing issue with the meters. These are meters that got moved around and the paperwork was not brought forward, so they were not changed in the office. And so you can't bill out if you go out and do an automatic reading and it says 140,000 and it should have read like over 500,000 just because it was a meter that was there for a long time. So these all became errors in the system, and we found them all and are having all of our associates address it. So it comes up as an error, so you know there's an issue. And so those are isolated on a list. That's entirely different from what you experienced, and one other person has experience with the TRIO system malfunctions in which it will lock up, and then you'll lose part of the entry or the entire entry.
So this is the payment system.
Yes.
That's the system where we collect the money. So
Yes.
there's an error in the entry level, but I guess it sounds like it's just not. There seems to be a technical error or malfunction almost at every kind of point of business around here lately, and I don't know if it's my imagination or
What you're looking at with the water department, this has been a legacy of gaps. It's been like this for
Right.
a very long time.
But if we go door to door, I mean, that's lots of man hours. How are we going to guarantee that anyone's going to say, "Oh yeah, I paid it last month"? Like no one's
Oh,
going to.
no, I'm sorry. That's to verify that everybody is being billed, they would check the meters and everything, they should check the meters over a period of time anyway.
Okay, so the meter tells you, not the
Yes.
person at the house.
Correct.
Gotcha. I was
Yes.
like, I don't understand what that even means. But it still doesn't feel good to me. Like, I don't feel like I have clarity at all in this process. So maybe
Okay. So
would
you-
Oliver and Associates be willing to come and either provide a report of how many errors and what their plan to mitigation is, or come and talk to the
Yeah,
town? And,
just for the water usage in the building of it, because
'Cause it's
we've
not
had
good.
other people come in and mention that they know somebody has been billed forever or doesn't have a meter or something like that.
Yeah.
And like I said, the legacy of gas.
Yeah, and
You
we
know,
did-
Unfortunately, we weren't here with the best and most professional, so
Right.
right now we're pulling the Band-Aid off. And that's what we're feeling.
So we did find in the party that had indicated that they knew of an individual or two individuals. We did track that down and find out that the individual had not been told correct information. And so we did talk with them on that.
Well-
And you know, I'm glad that they brought that up.
That was on a council meeting last fall, I remember that, but I'm talking about somebody who personally told me directly that they haven't received a water bill in years. And I was like, okay, well, I don't know how that's possible, but clearly you're not going to go admit that and say I haven't been billed, you're just
Yeah.
going to continue to get your water for free. I'm just wondering if we're losing an opportunity to make sure that the system's tighter, and I'd like to.
I don't know if we're not losing an opportunity. I think it's just a matter of getting boots on the ground, get caught up with it. Because when Oliver Associates came over and took over our water department, there were a lot of gaps. That's the best word I can use. And now by using their standards that they do for every job that they work on, they're finding out that there are things that need to be fixed. There's the billing's not correct, the meters aren't correct. It's just.
So maybe we can have Oliver and Associates speak to what they have found and what their plan is. That might be helpful, at least for me.
Could we have?
We can do that.
I'm gonna get right to the other side over there. Could we have Oliver come in sometime? I mean, if they're going to be coming in one of these, could they provide, a spreadsheet or something like that?
Yes, it
Because
should be.
Doc, you brought up before, and it's a very valid point. And we're taking all your time, and my apologies. I'll get back to you. I promise.
It's okay, it's all right. I trust you, Mike. I don't know why.
So the one thing we don't want to do is push it forward and create more issues. So once Oliver Associates has that 3-page spreadsheet in order, then we can input all the information. Then we look at the accounts and we determine, is this correct? Or if it hasn't been correct, does the person need a credit? So in reference to you and the other person that had that issue, that was a difference that happened with the financial software before you were on the council. We changed over all of the computers. So we had brand new computers, and we have a very old Trio financial system, and the malfunction just started.
Yeah.
So that was in March. And so you have to find all those, which eventually we do. We had to find them in March, April, May, June I'm working on now, and then July 20th will be over on the new system. Any issues will be isolated to the old printers that are required. You can't believe these are like 1970 printers, but this is what the state requires for the motor vehicle program. So any issues will be isolated just to the motor vehicle program, which everybody has been experiencing.
All right, Jason.
Thank you.
No, I'm all set.
So, Doc, I was going to get back to you, but after that comment, you're a persona non grata. No, seriously. Did you want to follow up?
I just got a couple of other points. I saw an ad in the Rolling Thunder today for help wanted in the town hall. It said general help, and it listed multiple departments that would avail themselves of help, and got me to thinking, if we're putting an ad in the Rolling Thunder for, in addition to the positions that are listed in the on the website itself, how many positions are open in town? If you're putting out just general help, would apply to just multiple different departments that you listed in the ad. So if you can...
Yes, thank you. So the positions that are listed on the website, and one has just been filled, are the positions that are available. We're during the summer, there's a lot of activity. We have massive lists of items for Public Works to work on, the transfer station. So I put in a general ad in case somebody wanted to work a day a week, and they wanted to work all summer, that would be of help to the outside departments, like mowing, spring trimming, working at the Public Works garage, patching holes, etc.
But are there, in addition, it made it sound as if there are positions other than those listed on the website that are open positions in different departments, whether it be the transfer station or the road crew, cemetery. You listed multiple different departments, and are those positions that are currently, you said a lot of stuff to do. They have a lot of stuff to do every year at this time, and why are we putting in an ad now to try to get more help? Are we down in positions in the different departments?
All right, so the positions that are listed on the website are the ones that are open, and so this was just to help out because we have lists and lists of work to do. So if we could find somebody reliable who would like to work each summer for a day a week, that would be a big asset. So it was just for general help.
Position recruitment, besides an ad in the Rolling Thunder that's vague, what are we doing for position recruitment? We have a report as part of the town manager's report that tells us all the vacant positions because it's definitely a top of mind issue for us too. And it's not a problem that's not happening to other towns. The main MMA has all these jobs posted, but we do have that as a standing item to go over, and it was on your report. But I'm not sure how we're doing in terms of filling those vacancies. Like, we should by department report out how many vacant I know there's 3 openings in the police department out of how many total officers.
There's 4 now.
So there's 50% vacancy rate in the police. It's substantial if you look at it by department. If you look at it as a list of 13 open positions or whatever it is, it's up there. It is a high vacancy rate.
The turnover in this town has been horrible in the past 5 years. So, I having been on the council and having contended with this in the past to try to figure out how to fill holes and plug holes, I think it's a constant problem that other towns are having, and I'm not arguing with that. That's been aggravated by, COVID and everything else, people getting sick, people getting ill, and a lot of people just early retiring, so to speak. So, that's one thing, but if we've got all these positions that are not being filled or all this extra work that is being done or needs to be done, how are we, A, budgeting for it, and B, if those positions are going unfilled, then I would expect that my tax rate's going to go down this year because you've got all this extra money, around. So, I'm just trying to figure out the logic here and how we can best contend with this, Catherine.
So there are 3 police positions and 3 other positions. So, and then I tried to help out the outside departments, and I apologize for doing that. Just thinking if we found somebody who could be a floater to move around and help out, that would be of assistance. I know I talked to some of the departments, and they thought it was a great idea. There might be somebody out there that wanted to earn a little money, so that's why I put the little general ad in.
On your town manager report, it's got 6 positions open.
Yeah, I said 6.
Nice.
3 police, 3
That
others.
was, I'm not including police officers. You've got 9, including police officers.
That's a lot of personnel.
You got a financial clerk, deputy treasurer, your assistant manager, 2 public works operators, and a transfer station attendee. And if you go onto the town website, you only have 4 positions, not 5.
So the transfer station has been filled. The 2 public works are the new positions that were added by the town. And then we have the other positions.
I guess the point that we take out of this, we're not going to solve it because we don't have people out of pocket that ready to work. But the town website is probably the first place people go to for information. that should at least reflect what we're having here, or at least reflect correctly.
Right.
I mean, the numbers should jive.
Is Stephanie's position posted? Because she's gone, right?
It is posted, yes.
What position is that?
Financial clerk.
And she had just began in May?
Yes, she did not find it to our liking.
Okay, so this was updated today, but you say it was job offer accepted in May. That's not true.
No,
That's
it
vacant.
became vacant in May.
Okay.
No, this was sent out yesterday or the day before, this report.
Yeah, what we're
Well, it
finding
says
is...
filled, and then it says job offer accepted.
All right,
So,
I will set this
that's not
up
true.
differently.
That will probably be a discussion we'll have in a little
Yeah.
bit anyway. So let's move on. Doc, anything else?
One more thing, okay? I know that we're in the post-COVID stages, and we don't have, traditionally, we've had an egg festival every summer. And past couple of years, there hasn't been one. But I noticed that in the Rolling Thunder and hearsay around town, that a lot of other towns around the area are renewing their festivals and having their festivals going. And St. Albans Day and Dexter Day and things like that. And I think that Pittsfield deserves it, number one, to have something, all right? And I might remind the council that, 3 years ago, when we had the bicentennial, after the bicentennial, there were funds left over. And we allocated specifically $5,000 at least, to be started for a quote-unquote either a birthday party or an anniversary party or something for the town of Pittsfield. And I think that it's long overdue, number one. Number two, in every organization that I've been associated with in my 40 years of doing medicine, every organization thanked their employees somehow during the year, whether it was a Christmas party, whether it was a barbecue during the summer, whether it was to thank their employees on Employee Appreciation Day. There was something. This town has nothing, and I think that should be corrected. I stand aside. Thank you.
So you would not be aware, but we do appreciation cards and letters at Christmas.
Just something to take into consideration. Anyone else in the audience?
Would you like me to say something?
Not really, but if you insist.
Maybe one or two things.
Okay,
First of
very
all,
well.
just a little reminder that starting this Thursday, we will have the summer concert series. And I need to remind you guys also that that's funded by the businesses in town, and that is their thank you to the people that support their businesses. And so as part of that this year, we're going to be doing something a little wee bit different in that each one of the concerts, Barb and I have invited somebody to come and talk from the town. So for example, this Thursday, I'm going to be introducing the new headmaster, the new head of school at the concert on Thursday night. And I met him this afternoon. We talked for a little while, and he's quite a character. Has a little sense of humor, which is kind of fun. Okay, but then throughout the, and we're going to have 9 concerts this year, not 8. We added one in September. I don't necessarily like to go into September because we could have snow then, but we had another business that offered to do something, so we're going into September also. So each night there will be somebody from the town. So for example, the new person that's in Danforth, the food store, he will be there and make a couple of comments so you can get a sense of the type of people that we've got coming in to talk to the community. So this coming Thursday, it's going to be interesting because I'm talking with Wynn Price, who's been filling in. seeing the other day, I guess MCI had sent out a notice to the parents and the kids there that he was going to be introduced on Thursday night. So we may have a little bit bigger crowd that night, which would be great. And the fire department's going to have their food van and some other things. So we're starting that. So, you know, that, and this is year 7. And hopefully we'll have a little bit better weather than we had the last couple of years. But that's, you know, that's where we are now. And it's becoming kind of an interesting thing. I may have told this story before, but sometime in January or February, I'm walking through Danforth's, whatever people want to call it. Some guy comes up to me who I didn't really know, and he said, "So you're going to have the summer concerts this year?" And I said, "Yeah, we're working on it because we usually start in January and February." And he said, "Well, I got an idea because we hadn't had much snow up to that point." He said, "Maybe we could have a concert out there sometime in January." No, I don't want to do that. They'll be pretty chilly. But so we have those kinds of things. But I do have a question, though, like a serious question. Let's just say we all get up tomorrow morning and basically the world is coming to an end. Okay, which it could very well be. But anyhow, we get up tomorrow morning and all of the banks are saying, we want our money back that we've given out for loans and all of those kinds of things. If that happens on that particular day, what's the amount of money that the town has in loans and other things to operate that we would have to pay back to the financial institutions? Do you understand the question?
I do understand the question. I do not know the answer. Catherine, could you come up with that for the next meeting, or at least pass it along so we can distribute?
I have the amount as of 2020 in the audit. And then we just got our audit on June 30th for 2021. I need to check it over. But let's pull this out right now for long-term debt. So as of December 31st, 2020, the town had for its governmental activities, so that is all the town departments, a total due of $1.972 million. And for the business type activities, which are water and sewer, we have $3.9 million due. So basically $6 million in total. So I have the new audit upstairs. I just need to check it over.
Thank you, Catherine.
You're welcome. I've been leaving that out so everyone can look at it. And we have one upstairs too for the public.
Anything else, Jerry?
No, I'm a little surprised at that actually, because I would have thought it would be a little bit more than that. But you know,
It was a good surprise, all right?
well, it was a good surprise. But the other side of the coin is that's what we have in loans. But if we didn't have the grants and everything else that comes in, there's a lot of things that wouldn't get done. And so, you know, if those start to, and I can see, you know, I think we're going through some difficult times, you know, in the world right now. And money is going to become an issue. And, you know, as grants and other things begin to get a little bit harder to come by, I think it's going to be more difficult to fund town, cities, in addition to a lot of other things as well. And I'm not sure if there's a way to prepare for that. Well, I think there is a way to prepare for that, because I think it has to do with the need to have a series or a set of priorities. You know, what's at the top of the list? That if this happens, what gets done? If this happens, what doesn't get done? And begin to come up with a plan to maybe think about that. You know, and if it doesn't happen, if we wake up tomorrow and everything is back to, and I don't even know what the hell normal is anymore, but everything kind of gets back to the way it might be operating, I mean, I got a little worried today because I went out to the transfer station and Donnie says to me, "Are you going to volunteer to work out here and move stuff around?" Because he saw the ad in the paper, but that's a whole different ballgame. But if there's a list of priorities that we do have, I think that helps guide things definitely for the future. And I know there's a person standing in the back of the room, and she and I have talked about some of those kinds of things as well in terms of coming up with a long-range plan. I guess one of my points about the long range, when I was working in the school districts, we would do that. We would have 5 and 10 and 15-year plans. Right now, I think if we were going to do that, we probably need to think about 20-year plans because things are moving very slowly and there's so much disagreement. I'm keeping that away. But there's so much disagreement in terms of how people deal with each other right now that it really becomes a challenge to get things done in a positive way. But I would encourage anybody in the council that wants to show up to the concerts on Thursday nights. I will guarantee you get in for free and you'll have a front row seat.
So what time do we start?
6 o'clock, 15.
Okay, so I should be there 5:30 for makeup.
Yeah, okay. But not this week.
No, next week.
Yeah.
I got it on my calendar.
Okay. I'll get you a comb.
No, this is going away.
Could I just briefly note on
Very briefly.
on the grants and talking to the different federal departments, there's going to be a lot more money coming for about 3 years, and then it's going to start drying up,
Yes.
and then there's going to be an issue after that.
And that's I guess what I was referring to because I read some of that similar material. That the next couple of years are good, but then after that, I think because some of us that are a little bit older sitting around the room, like Howie and myself, we've kind of been through these cycles before. We know what happens, and so I think it would behoove us to start thinking about that now and not waiting for another couple of years because the roads are always going to need to be paved. Okay, the water systems are always going to need to be upgraded and some other things. So, a plan would be really, I think, a very positive and proactive approach.
All set?
All set.
Thank you, Jane. Appreciate it. I'll get you on. Give Donnie a chance first. Anything you want to bring up, discuss?
Well, just one of the things I want to give you all an insight. We do have a bunch of openings in town, and it's unique work that we do. And one of the things that I will tell you is every 2 or 3 weeks, maybe even a month, I'll have some young kid or somebody inquire about a job with the town of Pittsfield. It's not the lack of benefits, it's a lack of, some of it's a lack of income. When you got 18, 19-year-old kids coming up, you're saying that they're not going to get out of bed for less than $25 an hour to work for a town position. We're not setting ourselves up for real good filling these jobs, these people, and a lot of them don't have a lot of skill, but they want a lot of money. And the ones who do have skill want to be paid fairly. So we do have some open positions, and we really need to look at it. And one of the things is I will tell you, I hired a guy for the Public Works Department, works maybe a day or two a week. I need somebody to do some work. I worked 79 hours last week. This past week, I put in for 54. Been down at pool for 30 hours in the last 4 days. Been at the pool, you've been down trimming grass down to the cemetery. You got 2 guys down there 3 days a week. And then people are screaming because potholes are not getting filled, that culverts are not getting done. You got the same 5 people doing all the work, and we have nobody to hire. So at some point, and I'll use Dave Whitman for an example. He's been with me for 18 years. He does a really good job when I leave to go to the Public Works to do stuff as a foreman. He's making a little over $15 an hour. He got offered at Dunkin' Donuts $16.25 an hour. And he can sit in there where it's warm in the wintertime and it's air conditioned in the summertime, and hand coffees out the window for $16.25. He crawls under that trash compactor with sludge and stuff under it this deep, fixing hydraulic hoses, doing the same things that I do. And again, that's something that we have to budget for. You got some people that I could say that probably may have getting paid too much for it, but it's a reality. We need help, and we haven't got it forthcoming. You can advertise positions. We've been advertising that position at the transfer station for over a year. We've been advertising the public works ones for over a year. We got a real problem. Timmy's going to retire at the end of the year. He's one of our longtime employees, 44 years. He's got a lot of knowledge. He's going down the road. Dean's not too far behind him. Who are we going to get to plow our roads? It's coming. And it's coming soon. A lot sooner than what we think. So again, planning is one of the things that you want to think about. But again, to attract people, some people just don't feel appreciated. Even if you pat them on the back, I do with my guys. I got some loyal guys at the transfer station. I got some younger guys that are coming into the public works that are loyal guys too. They want to do the right thing, and they're everywhere, and they don't complain. So whether they're weed whacking for string trimming for Peter for 2 days, and I'll tell you the other thing is dealing with public service. I see it myself, and I've questioned myself over the last 2 years. Do I still work for the town after 28 years? Because there's no appreciation. I see how people taxpayers treat some of my guys, like we're subservient, like we're stupid, we're unskilled, we don't know anything, and we get the brunt of it, believe it or not. And the guys that are out there on the side of the road doing the same thing, doing ditching and culverts, they're the ones that get the brunt of it. Because if they're ditching out in West Pittsfield, why aren't the in-town roads, potholes on Crosby Street being filled? You tell them, well, we can't get no patch. They don't want to hear that. They've got a bunch of problems. We don't have a lot of solutions. Same way with the crosswalk paint. Had a guy the other day that's screaming about the crosswalks. Well, state's painting roads out here. Yeah, they bought 4,700 gallons of paint. We're going to buy 25 gallons of paint. How long? They waited 2 years to get theirs. How long do you think we're going to wait? But I get the brunt of it. Some of the workers get the brunt of it. And it's not necessarily you guys don't know. But these guys put a honest day's work, and some of them not getting paid well, some of them don't get treated very well. And it's not her fault. We live in a different world. People are upset. Things aren't the case. Things are falling apart. We got trucks that need to be replaced. We got stuff. I mean, a grader. I got a guy today screaming about grading out on the Sibley Pond Road. My grader is 61 years old. It just took me about 5 weeks to find a part so I could get it out of the garage. So it's a reality. We're going to have to start contracting these years because we ain't got money, $325,000 to buy a grader with. So we got to make some serious decisions around budget time. And again, it's people. You know, people, pride and progress. Right across the street over there. That's one of the things a long time ago when I worked side by side with Andy in high school. Those are the things that get things done.
So in the last 2 years, things have definitely changed. I know even at the library, the negativity, it's just
It is.
So it is a sad situation.
And I hate to see it. I try to stay upbeat and I try to stay positive. I try to be a great negotiator, I should say, and try to keep everything together. But I'm to be honest with you, I'm one person. I had a guy today tell me that I get paid way too much. I said, well, when you run around like I do, when you dedicate 15, 18, 20 hours a week, not anymore, I'm not doing it. You can't have 1 or 2 people working for 5 or 6. It doesn't make sense. And it's, like I said, it's any one person's fault. Nobody wants to work. If you know people that want to work, and I think that's maybe what Catherine was talking about. I guess I didn't understand about looking for somebody to come out for 2 days a week. It's better to get somebody 2 days a week to string trim and help Peter, so we can get culverts done. We got 37 culverts to do in West Pittsfield before we start paving. That's right around the corner. If I'm sending 2 guys to string trim 2 days a week down there, and we're spending 2 or 3 days down in the pool, something's going to give. I appreciate it. I know money's tight. I've been doing this for a long time. It is. I don't think people realize. You guys have to sit there and make decisions about money too. It's my tax money too. We all pay it, so.
Anything else?
And the volunteers are gone too, so. Nope, that's all I got.
Thank you, Don. Real quick, I gotta get to the council.
Yeah, I'm just going to be really brief. I got an email this afternoon from Maine Farmland Trust, and this is something I spoke about, maybe a year ago, last summer maybe when they started. They are releasing the final report called Balancing Solar Development and Farmland Protection, a solar siting guide for Maine towns. And what it is the state Department of Agriculture worked with different entities across the state, like the Audubon Society, Maine Farmland Trust, and MOSTA, talking about siting solar farms, and put together this guide to help towns and municipalities make better decisions about solar systems. And so there's a lot of programs that are coming to Pittsfield and looking at Pittsfield because of open land that we have. Most of the systems that have gone into Pittsfield have been put on farmland, which is now not farmland. And so that can have a real implication long-term for our state as far as talking about resiliency and food production. We saw this with the pandemic, with shortages and the increased dependency on local food and local producers and not being able to meet that production. We're still in it. A lot of farms are still running short on supply. They just can't supply enough. A lot of the land that's been used is hay ground. And, it's very expensive to clear ground. There's a lot of work that goes into clearing ground. A lot of these places have been cleared 200-something years ago with horses and small children picking up rocks. So I would encourage the ordinance committee, when you have a meeting again, I sent Catherine a link for the document so she can pass that on to both the planning board as well as the ordinance committee. These types of programs, not programs, but these types of projects are going to keep coming to Pittsfield and in the surrounding areas. And right now we don't have anything on the books as far as regulating where they would go, how big they would be, how they could be sized, those types of things. Somebody could come in and buy large tracts of land, completely clear it, and put up solar. And I'm all for solar. I live on solar. So, but there's a spot for it, and there's appropriate places for it.
New incident notification. Medical emergency, the 5th of July, 2022, 8:16 p.m.
And so I just wanted to make the council and the planning board aware of that report is out and to provide guidance on when these property plans come to the departments to look at them in a different way and really be considering those different options. And maybe making some rules and ordinances as far as how to address that.
What's that? All right, thank you. I'm a little tender to solar, just let you know.
Well, and it's something that we've talked about.
That's my bread and butter.
It's something that we've talked about, as far as getting a solar system for the town.
Yeah.
We have the airport land, we have land out by the transfer station. There's places in town where we could put it. We have building roofs, like the hangars and things like that the town owns that you could site solar panels on. And there's several towns. Sanford has a huge array that they put on for municipal power. So, there's those types of projects when you're talking about planning for the future and trying to buffer and be resilient to energy costs, which is a huge expense for the town. Those are options before us, and it just takes the council's kind of push and will to actually pursue those kinds of things.
Okay.
Pine Tree Solar contacted me when I was mayor, they called me as a farmer, and I said, hey, I'm talking to the wrong person, I already got a system. But I said, what about municipalities? And they deal with municipalities. And so there's numbers at the town office that are ready to go to them. It needs somebody else to pick up the gauntlet and finish that project on the council level.
Thank you, Heather. So we'll start with Mr. Jester, and we'll go around that way.
I guess all I had tonight is to thank everybody that came in and took time to speak, to make sure that we understand your passion for the town, and to address concerns that you have that we need to obviously flesh out and deal with. So thank you for that. That's pretty much it for me tonight.
All right, thank you, Craig. Eric?
I wish Donnie was still here. Because I'd like to thank him, thank the town crew for working on the pool and trying to get that up and going. I know it's still not going now. My impression is it's going to be going by the end of the week. So, Captain, can you give an update on that, of when the pool is going to open and what we're going to do different next year to get it open on time?
All right, very good. It has been open on time. In fact, I apologize for the confusion at the last meeting. The pool director obviously is responsible for the pool and responsible to the rec director, and we did have some people leave. We did receive a report last year to the town council that the pool had been closed out, and so nobody really thought anything of it. We figured it was closed out, but they did have the big water break and people forgot to do certain things. So knowing all of this has happened, we would have a better checklist for the future that will be turned in. And so that can take care of the issues. Now, the pool is probably the clearest water that I've seen in it for years. So we are going to do some checking to see if perhaps the pool is supposed to be drained after a certain number of years, and see if that is something that we should be doing maybe every 5 or 7 years or what have you. And so they will have a list of items to work on beyond the list that we have. So what has normally happened is that there have been issues with the pool off and on with the chemicals over the years. So probably a complete review and perhaps getting quotations from a company that could handle the pool and put the chemicals in and everything might be a good idea too. So we'll study the whole thing.
Okay. So I had heard, and I don't know if there's any truth to this or not, but it had been proposed that the pool was opened in May of this year. And it was brought up and said we should get it opened early, get it open before the algae really starts to bloom so you can really get it under control. And then the decision was made to wait because we didn't want to spend the money on the electricity to run the pumps. And I don't know if there's any truth to that at all, but I just, knowing how much money we spent now, and then getting that pool open after all the algae had already bloomed and we had to try to get it all under control, we far exceeded any electrical expense you could ever imagine based on town employees. You're not going to know the actual cost because you have people donating 30 hours a month or a week, whatever it was that Donnie donated. You're not going to know what that actually costs to delay the opening. Once the algae starts to go, it really blooms and it's hard to get under control.
So that doesn't even make any sense, so I don't know where that came from. The cost of the electricity would be far less.
Oh, okay, I would agree. So I think next year we should open the pool in May.
At least a consideration.
Right.
For 1 year to the next. Because if you don't have the same person doing it year after year after year, you lose your continuity and then we end up this discussion.
Right. You're going to be spending money either way, right?
If the snow's gone.
If it's not going, that's right. My next concern, or comment, I guess, is that we need to start getting creative on how we hire people. I mean, you hire all of our associates to walk around the town and figure out if a meter is working correctly or not. They're not paying that guy or woman $13 an hour, right? These people are making a lot of money, and now we're going to get charged a lot of money. So all of a sudden, if you say, "Yep, we'll hire it out," or "We'll sub someone else to do our grading," well, all of a sudden you put yourself into a bracket that you can afford to pay your people a lot more money, probably a lot more what they deserve, than what we're trying to get them for now. And we got to set ourselves apart from other municipalities and other businesses and figure out a way to get people to want to come here and work. And I'll be honest with you, it might be a pretty bad situation at the Saucer House for me to line right up and say, "I want to go work at the transfer station." Right? I mean, it's just the working conditions aren't great. I don't think the pay's great. I don't think the benefits of that are great. What are we offering? Like, what are we inspiring people with? People hire, there's laborers out there every day that work in mills, they work for contractors, they work as they're flagging traffic. I mean, that's a better job than, we just have to offer something up that no one else does. How are we going to be unique? Is it going to be with our pay, with our benefits? Is it going to be the pleasure to work here? Like, people actually work because it's a joy being somewhere. So look around at your town employees and where they're working and say, "Geez, I wonder if they're here because they're having fun." I know the answer, right? People enjoy public service, and I think it's great. And the people that do that and get the criticism, that can't be tough. I mean, I can't be easy, what I meant to say. But we just have to be unique. We have to figure out how to do it. You know, because the police department is putting out bonuses. They're trying to encourage people to come work here. What are we doing for the other departments? And what can we do? Because it's going to get a lot more expensive. You start hiring S&G or whoever do our plowing, hire someone else to do our grading, hire all of our associates. Pretty soon we'll close the town hall and we'll just sub out everything. So that's all I got.
So we do need to look at alternative ways because there are well over 520 jobs available on the MMA website. It's just crazy. It's all through all the departments everywhere. And so competing is very difficult. We may have a good benefit package, but the wages are probably low now. So we can look at that again, as well as some
budget season coming up here in a couple of months.
Yes, the budget workshop. Yes, it'll be an interesting one.
I'll say there.
So what do we pay all of our associates to run around and look at meters? I mean, is that
Okay,
flat rate?
that
or-
would just be part of their overall contract. They're going to problem areas that we need to check out to make sure, but this is part of what they've accepted that they need to do here, and they've done it in other towns too.
So
You
it's
would
not
know-
it's not an hourly thing. They're not an
No.
employee. I mean, it's like a lump sum.
15
contract.
grand a month or something like that.
So that 15,000 a month includes problem solving.
Yeah,
reviews.
problem solving, bringing in people. This is where it works really well. They can bring in 3 people from different areas. Now, they too are now having staffing issues themselves and have since last year. So it's been a little bit more difficult. But when we had the leaks, they brought in an expert from up north, somebody on their staff, and he did just an absolutely wonderful job and found the leaks very easily, whereas other people had tried to, and we brought in other people from other towns around here, so their expertise is wonderful. So that's where we need to straighten out the meters first. I don't want to try to take out like all the meters and then try to input them back. I'm afraid I'm going to make a problem. It's better to have a delay and do it correctly and get past this problem.
Let's ask Annalise to
Yeah.
come on board and give us that presentation.
Yeah, she will.
Anything else, Eric?
Nope.
Jason?
Yeah, kind of beating a dead horse here, but on the open positions, obviously we advertise in the Rolling Thunder and on the town website, but we need to be advertising in, on Indeed, on LinkedIn, on like every social media aspect you possibly can. There needs to be, you said Indeed was working well, and then there was a credit card issue. Well, that issue should have been resolved by now, and we need to be back on
It
there.
was resolved and they are on there.
Okay, well, that's a positive thing.
I tried a whole variety of sites. The Zip Recruiter actually turned up more people, but they just were not qualified and didn't keep their appointments.
Well, and the town website needs to be up to date, on a regular basis too. There's some of this that's out of date and just not that user friendly for anybody that's trying to apply for these positions. So that's just that one thing. And then another thing, I know we talked about it last year. We talked about it in the ordinance meetings. Was the ordinance on horse manure being picked up on the roads? No, it's an odd thing. It's an odd thing, but I know if I was living on those roads where the horses were, dropping massive piles of stuff.
You'd say poop.
Yeah, poop. When you come back out of the driveway and I drive over it, well, I wouldn't be too happy about it. So I think the ordinance committee really should tackle that, and we should get that passed. Or if somebody has a great relationship with the people that are driving horses down the road, maybe it's just stopping in and asking them, hey, can you put a bag on the back of that? I know that's what they do in like Unity. They have a catch basin type thing. But anyway.
Do they really? I've never seen that.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they passed an ordinance in Unity to do that.
Okay.
So it's not unprecedented. The other thing is, can we get updated statements and account balances for like all departments? you must do that on a monthly basis, maybe?
Yes,
Is that something you can provide
yes.
us, and
Yeah.
especially coming into the budget season, and
Oh, sure, yeah.
we can have some kind of idea of where we are right now and where we need to go. So if you can provide that to the council.
Yes, it'll be much better on July 20th when we have the new system.
Right, yeah. But no, that'd be great. Beyond that, I'm all set.
All right, Jason, thank you. Lindsay?
Hey. Yes, thank you guys for coming in, and I was going to say something to Donnie too, to thank him. I know he put a lot of time in to try to mitigate that issue at the pool, but well, I made some notes. I feel like we definitely need to talk about, and I don't know when the right time is, I had asked for it to be this meeting, to talk about the way in which we receive information. So when we get a report from Catherine by department, it would tell us, the police department, this is how it's going, major announcements, projects, whatever, here's the vacancy rate, here's what we're doing to mitigate it. And by department, around we go. There's not that many departments. I think it would streamline our receiving of that information, help us hone in on targeted areas. While we're talking, doing a quick search, there is one job posted outside of the town webpage, which is nobody goes to the town website. It's not a place, you might go looking for something on purpose, but from the recruitment perspective, as having to think outside the box to deal with the healthcare shortage in my career, you want to be having events that are hiring events. You want to be putting your information on every social media channel that's out there, or you're not going to get people, and you're going to continue to suffer that shortage. So I'm glad to see that Indeed has the one with the financial clerk job up, because that's the one everyone goes to. And if you can't find it here easily, which our town website's not real user-friendly on the phone, then people aren't going to get it. So anyway, from a recruitment perspective, that's my 2 cents on that. But I think it would be better if we could hear a report by department, including the vacancy rate and including the % overtime rate. Because I think what you're going to find is, to Donnie's point, you have a couple of departments working at a very high % of overtime, which is going to further burn them out, and you're going to lose more people. So we also have to watch that as a cost control measure and a employee retention measure, because they can only do that for so long. The vision, so I have this, it stays right on this is our presentation from now a month ago from Pete. I had asked that we have some kind of master list provided with all of the projects that we have been delivered in the last month. And so I guess I'll make a date to come in and work with Catherine to get that ready for the next meeting. Is that?
I have no idea what this is. We put together the department list.
Well,
of course, with the idea you have, which is very good.
Right, and that was the first, I think we went back one topic, so that was the first time that we had seen that. I definitely think it needs some refinement for the reports that we got from the department heads a couple meetings ago.
Yeah, no, that we
Right.
need to talk about as a separate completely. This is the code
Right.
enforcement issues. We had talked at the last meeting, and I had emailed 2 weeks ago about having it as an agenda or discussion item for tonight, so that we can go through page by page and make a master document, so we can create the vision for how are we going to tackle these eyesores and these problematic properties.
So let me take a minute of your time here and probably make an assumption here, but I think what we're looking at is a weekly or bi-weekly report from the CEO specifically. The same information we expect from department heads, the same, we want to see what's happening with that.
We just keep talking about code enforcement issues as a one-off, like, oh yeah, the letter's been sent to that house, or this has been happening. So unless a town citizen comes in flamingly upset about a particular place, we don't get an update. I'm not even saying that we have to talk about it at every meeting. I'm just saying it needs to be a standing agenda or discussion item that we get every 2 weeks. Here's where we're at, but I don't even know that a master list has been compiled.
I agree, and especially now with the visibility that it's had. I think we were talking about CEO enforcement last year when I came back on the council.
But if we know we have this massive project, then when it comes budget time and we talk about increasing that to a full FTE, there'll be a lot of weight behind that when you have a tangible, here's all the evidence of why we need this. So we need to just compile it. And I could sit here and I could email Pete, dig you, and have it tomorrow, really. Maybe that's what we need to do.
So,
But I'm happy to help because as part of the vision of the cleanup of the town, I feel very invested in helping move this along and getting our vision set so that we know what we're working toward in the next 5 years.
Catherine, do you understand what she's asking?
All right, I've seen now.
Having the CEO maintain a list.
No, just the CEO can make an Excel spreadsheet and we need to prioritize that list, right? So how is that process going to happen? How are we going to prioritize this massive list of properties? Some of them we can't touch because there's legal issue. You know what I mean? Like we need to kind of take which ones are owned by the town that we can act more immediately on, and what's the plan? Like some of them have had multiple letters mailed. You know what I mean? Like. So there's work being done, but there's no tangible like product to show the council to say, here's where we're at.
We need to have a consolidated list that's maintained by the CEO that we as a council can get at least every meeting.
Yeah, there was a consolidated list. Steve Seekins had one, which I worked with him on, which was brought into the council meetings, and councilors, only Pete would remember it, I think, and maybe you would, a few of them. So we did have that list. As you know, we have a new CEO who is learning. So we do have Al come in on Friday, so I'll speak with Al about trying to revitalize that list.
Okay.
Yeah, we need to. I mean, there's valid point.
Well, I mean, it's a month now, and we haven't done anything with it. Nothing. So if it takes us a month just to get our feet under us, imagine how long that's going to take to actually do anything on the list. So I'm willing to come in and help. I have time. I'm happy to work with Al. Or what's the other gentleman's name? And did he pass his test?
Bob.
Is there any hope in that happening, or we don't know yet?
We're continuing on here.
Okay.
So Al is working on the code enforcement.
Okay.
He has about 3 hours a week right now. He's very willing to help us. He wants to help us. So we need to update the list. I tried to find it in Bob's computer, and I'm not sure where it is now, but we will acquire the list and update it.
So is Bob no longer here?
Bob is here.
Okay.
At this point.
But Bob can't give you the list. You have to go into Bob's computer to get the list?
Well, Al and I have worked in Bob's computer, and so I don't see the list that we had in there anymore, but it would be easy enough to put together.
Yeah.
I've gone through the files, and it is hard to
But
determine.
the bottom line is, how are they tracking what needs to be done? It has to be written down somewhere. I mean, it needs to be on a format that they can share with us.
Well, then there's 28 hours a week we determined that of work that's happening around code enforcement related work. So what do they, at the end of 28 hours, have to show for the work that they do each week and get paid to do? That would be my question, and maybe that's a rhetorical question.
That's an interesting question.
Okay, well, so anyway, I'm willing to help so that we can move the ball along, because it's been a month and we don't seem to be able to get
Before
traction.
I send it back to you for the next topic, do we have action items on this?
Yes, the staff members have action items on this.
Well, I'm talking specifically with the CEO.
Yeah, yes, I mean the CEO department. Yes, they have, the CEO has action items, and the alternate who's doing the code enforcement has action items. It's actually, I've been reporting in the town manager's report, just listing the different letters and everything that's been going on in the action.
Right, but the action item that's coming out of this meeting, by what Lindsay brought up, is that we need to have a consolidated list that they have generated, that they can keep updated, so when we ask, what's the status, here's the list. Because, you know, a narrative every 2 weeks from you, it's all fine and well, but how are they tracking what they're doing? I mean, it's a very valid point. We have piled that from Mr. Biggie a couple weeks ago. I'm sure they're all aware of it, but are they separate files stuck on horizontal spaces in their office? They have to have a consolidated list.
No,
they can't, especially with 2 men in there.
No. All right, I do agree that they need the consolidated list. We had one previously, and so we need to get it back into order.
Thank you.
Yes, no, I agree.
All right.
It's the only way to track things.
Go ahead, Lindsay.
So that was my big thing. And then just talking about how we talked about the receiving of information, the CEO issues. We're going to have the water issues, Oliver and Associates next time, or somebody, Annalise is going to.
Sometimes
we're going to summon that as an
somebody
agenda. And then my last thing is the community resource officer grant position. It sounds like that was filed and applied for. Is that right, Catherine? You said.
It was filed, we tried to upload it, it was all set to go, the audit states it's all set to go, we just could not get it up onto the site.
Okay, so technically.
Marty and I were there for a long period of time. I had been told previously, and I do suspect it's correct, that it would not have been approved just because of what we were trying to do. It's for introductory, entry-level officers, not senior officers to be hired.
Right.
And they did ask some questions that would have brought that out in the ranking process.
Okay.
But it is actually a really good application which we put together. You don't know what the questions are until you get in, and then you have to keep inputting it, and then we couldn't print it out. So I'm hoping to get it out, and then we'll have it for next year.
All right.
Cool. And then my last little thing was, I know it's not the entire department, but I agree with your point about recognition and celebration of people, and we are planning a rec. It's just the rec department, but we are going to plan a volunteer and donor recognition family event that's going to be open to the community in the end of August, or middle of August, just as a thank you to all the people who put their blood, sweat, and tears into our rec programs and growing those, because it's really important to the families and the community. So although there probably will be no Egg Festival, we're hoping to do some sort of fun little shindig down at Manson Park, and if we can get that to happen, then that will at least be something to go along with the other stuff that people do. But anyway, sorry, that's a lot, I know, but these action items of mine, these lists keep growing, but I'm not able to tick them off, and that's starting to tick me off, so I need to, I'm very action-oriented, and if I feel like I'm in stagnant water, I get real sideways in a hurry, so I apologize if I feel like I'm coming on strong, but I don't do well sitting still for 6 weeks, so I'd like to be coming in and helping out.
I enjoy your energy, but I'm glad there's space between us.
Right? Can you feel the heat coming off my body? Okay, good.
Just don't do it on the Thursday night.
No, yeah, no.
That's it, Lindsay? Okay, thanks. Brent, you're next. Follow that, Brent.
No, sorry, I love it. It's a lot.
I'm going to speak on, along with what Lindsay said. I agree with what she said with all the cleanups. But here's our big dilemma. Unless we put some major dollars to taking people to court, and hypothetically, if I was one of those individuals, you can send me a letter to a pig's fly, and I'm not going to do nothing different unless you're going to take me to court. So you can make spreadsheets and whatever, unless you got money to take people to court and make an impact, there's no impact going to happen. So that's my thought for that.
Okay. Anything else?
You know, I guess one.
Okay.
To go along with what Heather said, just for curiosity, you know what it takes? A general contractor told me if I want to clear some more land, it's roughly $20,000 an acre to cut the woods and stump it in order to. So if you want to clear land for solar panels, whatever, that's what I was told. So it's pretty high, I thought, but that's what it takes. The other thing I've got is they did, along with the cleanup, so the place on between Lansing and Peltomer, they did start remodeling. They tore down that barn, cleaning that place up.
I saw that yesterday.
They're making an attempt, but
yeah,
I'd still do a little different approach. Might be a match, but it's up to her.
Well, they're taking the neighbors into account, apparently. He's a kinder, gentler house owner.
And last thing I had was one of the business owners in town brought up that he has a business and he has to pay yearly taxes on his business and property and whatever. And now there's these two trailers that park there going to buy Manson Park. He was curious what they pay, if there's a permit or is it a substantial amount of permit that would equal to, because naturally I'm sure he must be feeling a little pinch losing some business to what they're supplying. So I don't know, do they have to get a permit to park there? I know it's private property.
On the private property, it is a lunch wagon permit. They have been given the items, and we sent the code officer down to talk to them. One has submitted the materials back, one did not. So the code officer has been sent down for a friendly visit. So for those, the fee is $50, and that's set in the ordinance.
For all summer, they can park there and just pay a $50 permit?
Yes. So if they're on town property, they're required to provide insurance listing the town of Pittsfield as an additional insured. So if you head to the parks and you've got your area all set out, like the gentleman with the meats and everything, they have to provide additional items. But still, it's a lunch wagon permit for $50.
Yeah.
So that fellow that parks on Central Street, Does he have the insurance for?
Yes.
Yes, okay.
So that's private property over there? Over by that is?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, because this guy just didn't think it was very fair that they could have a business and not pay no real property tax or anything. But you know what you can do about that, I guess. So I've got.
Peter,
No report.
that's refreshing.
I know.
I got a couple things I want to go over, and I'll try to be as quick as possible, so bear with me. Some are lighthearted, some aren't. My first comment I have written down here, I was very disappointed with the news report of the school district not funding the SRO. Disappointed in the leadership that they didn't go on record, didn't speak. I just thought it was poorly represented, and the way that information was handled was, I'm not going to say it wasn't on the up and up, but it could have been handled a bit more professionally. I'm just disappointed. I just want to express my views on that. And how do we get more people in the middle of the year to vote on something like that? Unless we make the school budget and the town budget the same fiscal calendar, then we all vote on everything at one fell swoop. Just something to consider, I guess, with everything else we have going on. So I was discussing with a couple of town elders a few days ago about the Roberts rules and how it works. And I need to review that, but apparently there is a process in there where the council would vote to accept the agenda as written. And then if it's passed, then we move on the agenda as written. I have no talking points on that. It's just something I want to bring up. I want to look at it, make this proper and formal. I just want to keep it as tight and formal and proper as possible. And the other consideration is possibly, I need to, kind of chew this over a little bit before the agenda is presented, have it presented to the mayor for approval from the town manager. See, I'm not sure if I'm going to be adding a lot of load and unnecessary work on that, but something I'm thinking about. I just want to share my thoughts with you all. So the budget is starting in, do we have that calendar set yet, Catherine, the workshops?
Not yet, no.
So what I would like to do, because we usually start in August.
Correct.
What I'd like to do is work that calendar. I would like to get that done before Thanksgiving, because this last meeting of the last week of the last month of the year is really pushing it. I would like to see December free and clear personally. It may take a little effort, but something we as a council should consider. So that's another thought I want to throw out there. The other one is, I don't know what the legal protocol is anymore with COVID and with the masking and gathering in public, but I'd like to see this go away. This Zoom meeting, there's no need legally or scientifically or any other way that we have to have that screen here anymore. We have the town hall meeting, people can watch, and if they choose to, they come in here wearing masks. So that's something I want to consider. Maybe we can have some information for the next meeting, see what we have legally for obligations on that. I know we talked about it last year about the Zoom meetings and the whole COVID precautions that were put in place that are 99% gone from what I understand. Quick note, this has been a issue of mine since that last picture was put up on the wall. There's been a number of council that we're not seeing pictures of. We took one last year when Heather was mayor, and I'd like to see that put up on the wall and start doing that again if we could, Catherine, please. So the other thing was, my number 6 on the list, Brent, was to kind of mirror what you said about the CEO getting the hours in and putting the money in to enforce, because it's been one of those things that's been kind of put to the side, not that important. We have bigger fish to fry now, but now all the hens are coming home to roost, and we have pictures of them all over town. So the budget season is going to be painful, and I have said several times I'd like to see the department heads hold the line on these budgets, and that was going to be hard to say in front of Donnie after he just gave that talk earlier this evening. But if we're going to get responsible, we all have to tighten our belts, and it's not easy. I'm willing to pay more taxes if we can show bang for the buck, because I live in this town just like everyone else here. So one last moment, one last comment I want to throw out there is the Egg Festival has been disappointing. The bicentennial celebration was disappointing, not as much as we'd like to see. The Egg Festival started 45 years ago or so because we were the biggest producer of eggs in the state. So I'm considering something like that. We'll take the Balfour Farm, for example. I'm just a representative of a new generation getting back to the farms, and I think it's absolutely fantastic to see the Amish around with all their poopy horses, and just to see this land. I mean, going back to where it was, I'd like to see it called the Farm Festival. That way we keep it open. We could give that some serious thought consideration. I mean. The cows, the pigs, the beef cattle, the chickens, everything. So just a thought I want to throw out there. So that's all I have, and with that, I will look for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'm sorry. Let me take that back. We need a motion for executive session. My apologies.
I'll withdraw that and make a motion that we move to executive session.
Second. Moving to second. All in favor? Aye. Very well. We are in executive session. Thank you all very much for showing up. Appreciate it.
Well, I'm hoping that intimidation. I feel like you're seeing everyone's scared.
Let her budget.
I think if we can.
You gotta shut up the.
Point action with some of them, and maybe just a threatening letter from the lawyer, and if they don't respond, then
One of these